Hello everyone, and welcome back to Empire Total War with the Pirate Imperialis mod. Since last time around, I've actually gone ahead and set up the garrisons, as we're moving most of our troops to the east, all of them actually. All armies are moving to the east, and so we've only left here garrisons with dragoons and some reserve regiments. Should really be moving the carronades to possessions without forts, but I'm thinking that, you know what, I should probably start building forts in these areas so we have that protection, so we have forts all along the line. And as I said, we've started to move the forces over to the east, and here is most of the forces moving. This is the force that I intend to build that's going to go against Constantinople. They're going to get a few more cannons and a little bit of cavalry and stuff like that, and then they're going to set up there, as I'm sure the Ottomans are going to reignite the war soon enough. There's quite a lot of Ottomans setting up here, so I'm a little bit worried of what's going to happen there. Now, we do have a big Eastern style fort, which I'm not too sure about. I don't really like those forts. I do think they are too big. But as of now, that's what we got there. Hopefully they'll stay their hand for a while longer, so I can be ready. The first force that is moving up is Lippenhauth, which is... he's got the Royal Regiments, and he's moving his way up through here, and then we've got Hagen, which is also coming through here, and then it's Helmer, which is coming with his force, marching through, and then lastly we've got Armfelt. Oh, that was unnecessary. I figured I would win some time by moving through the areas, but moving around it and then back into it, and then screwing... great. So that's going on there. I did move my army that I had down here, moved up here, laid siege to this, and the idea was just to lay siege to it and then come back to it once once the episode started. The thing was, there was only 2 units in defending the area, and they attacked out, and I broke them and took the castle. There's very few people living in this region, and I've sent a really good priest to take command in turning these into Protestants, and it's going rapidly. 10% per turn. We're increasing towards our own religion. Wonderful. I had an idea. I tore down the fishing harbor here because I thought fishing harbors, that's like it's kind of useless. I feel like it doesn't give nearly enough to justify its to have it, unless the province does not have any kind of farmland you can improve. Then perhaps a fishing port is necessary to gain that extra sort of what's it called, growth. But the thing is, the growth thing was never really properly implemented into Empire. It was supposed to be that this was supposed to be much more of a thing, and that the famines could lead to revolutions. But as I mean, the worst case scenario of sort of growth mistake, or sort of how that doesn't matter at all. If you remember in earlier campaign I had in Empire, where I was playing as the French, and I think the French region went up to, I think it was something like 60 million people or something starved to death just because the mechanics of the mod and stuff meant that we had like a huge loss of people, and there was millions of people starved to death over a couple of turns, and I didn't even notice. But then again, if you're as a French king, that might not actually be that strange. Anyways, Charles has laid siege to Moscow and is ready to take it. I think we're gonna storm it this video right now. There's a small force of Russians that have continued their march, even though they're about to get cut off, and they're heading for Minsk. They will spawn about 4 units in Minsk, and perhaps I should have gone ahead and recruited some more troops, but I didn't realize they were moving here until it was too late. They are within striking distance of the town. I'm just hoping that they won't actually attack, because as we can see right now, seemingly they've been sitting there for a turn. So we've got this fight, and then we got this fight right here as Tolle has moved on from this awful little fishing village down here to move and attack Russians that are sitting right here in this little town. And then thirdly, we've got this. So this area has been attacked quite a few times in quite a few different capacities. And this time though, the enemy has decided to lay siege to it. And I have 4 turns until surrender. I'm hoping that they try to storm the fort and I can destroy them that way. If that's not the case, then the king needs to win here and start marching immediately to try and get here. I've been recruiting, for some reason I can only recruit the new troops in like really weird areas. So the new upgraded Swedish line infantry I can only recruit them here, but I've been recruiting a lot of them, and they're going to be portioned out into the armies. As it turns out though, they are worse than the old troops in terms of the fact that their morale is worse. Their melee defense and melee attack is a lot worse. But I need more troops for my armies, as my empires getting rather large. Also, I was able to... I'm not entirely sure what I unlocked to get these two. I think it's through national armies and then building up the new barracks, which allowed me to get the horse artillery and the Gibbenwald cannon carriage. So now I have been able to... I can recruit new cannons. However, I can only recruit I can only recruit about, let's see, these 12 pounders. I can recruit 8 of them, which is good because I need something for the new armies. We are gonna go ahead and recruit these new 12 pounders. However, so the new 12 pounders they have the same range as the demi-cannons. They have better accuracy than the demi-cannons, and they have better reload rate than the demi-cannons. So they have 5 points extra, and I think 10, or no, it's 5 reload, 5 accuracy. However, the firepower is just about half the firepower, so that's not too great. It's gonna make it harder to break down walls and sieges and stuff like that, but I'll do with what I can. Currently though, I'm thinking that because I need the next level, the big arsenal, which hopefully will unlock even more heavier guns for me, and perhaps I'll get some use out of mortars by making those shots explosive. However, I would have to recruit, or first do improved grenades, and then do explosive shells, both of which is gonna do -4. I did by mistake get carbines. I missed that completely. So far, I've only been able to recruit the carbineers, but I haven't put them to use, and I haven't looked into it that much. I am able to now get the platoon firing. The thing, though, is I'm holding on to that, because I'm not sure platoon firing is all that good. And if that goes across all the units, then I'd probably rather keep with everyone firing at once rather than platoon firing, because that fits more in the way I sort of play. However, platoon firing, since it's basically, you know, you have a section and then they fire sort of, you know, first the right wing fires, then the center fires, and then the left wing fires, and the idea is to have constant fire down upon the enemy. The good thing about that is I could leave everyone on fire at will, and I wouldn't have to micromanage like I usually do when I try to get the entire unit to fire. You know, if a cavalry unit attacks, I want to release the fire as close as possible to maximize the damage. In this case, we would keep a constant fire throughout, so in that sense, that would work better. And then after that we get fire by rank, and then of course, you know, the classic what you think about when you think about sort of empire, and then beyond that we get fire in advance. And I think all of these I can get without suffering any minus to my wealth, which is good. Also here, I think there's some of these that I need. Oh yes, one thing that we need to do is now when I actually have a colony. Yay, colony! It's not going too well, the colony though. The wealth is diminishing. But I am hoping that we're going to improve this rather soon. So I'm building out the road, which is going to increase it. I'm building out a fort to make sure that we can hold it. I'm building out the port, and hopefully soon enough I'll be able to recruit colonial troops. And that's why we're now going to select for ourselves. Let's have Krakow go ahead and research this. So the multinational corporation genocide policy is now gonna be in effect, which is gonna increase 6% technology rate, -6 in upkeep cost for naval units, recruitment cost for land units -2, and recruitment cost for naval units -4%. 1% wealth generation by all buildings, and then 5% movement range for all units. And we will get Swedish company, East India Company units, or in this case, I guess Caribbean Company units. And once that's starting to build out, we will start to attack the nearby pirate settlement. So the reason why I chose this small island is because you can see we've got pirates to the north of us, to the west of us, to the south of us. We've got pirates all around. So hopefully we'll be able to seize more and more islands to create a colonial empire. And we're gaining quite a lot from trading in the sugar trade from the island that we're currently holding. With all of that said, it's time to get cracking at cracking some Russian skulls. So Charles is ready to break the siege of Moscow and reclaim the town. Probably easier for me to fight them outside the castle, but they refuse. I've given them the chance to leave the fort with their lives kept. They refuse, and so all of them have to die. The battle is underway. We've started marching on it. The castle, that is. I am now forwarding the 2 grenadiers, which are going to help blow this wall up. Currently, as we can see, tons of troops up there. For some reason, I think they're townsfolk that is coming out of the castle. were gonna set up spikes, and they're gonna set up spikes like that, so that's why they came out the gate. Let's see, it was not there. Don't think anyone... Oh, no! That unit probably was on the ladder, was it? It's lost 100 men. I don't know where those 100 men went. But they are lost. I was hoping... Damn. I should have checked more closely. I could have blown them up. There's a secondary unit. Engineers. Fort... whatever. We're gonna have to move away because we have lost quite a bit of troops. And now the stupid engineer detachment's coming out. The townsfolk, that we've got one bit here, some here. Oh, god damn it, they're sending out the bloody cavalry now. I've sent 4 units to take this wall, as we're focusing in to keep them away from this. There's lots of cavalry coming this way. We need to get rid of the pikes out of the king's army, but as of right now, he has not been able to get better units coming into his army. I've got the regular units up front, and then we've got the elites in the back ready to back them up once we're ready. Let's go ahead and maybe organize you to deal with all these troops that are coming out. All these cavalry units. Looks like you're gonna have to form into square as well, but you should probably... You know what? Let's form square and square and square. Tons of squares. Right, the armed... no, that was the cuirassiers that was sent out. The townsfolk are still fighting, even though they've lost most of their men. Horse archers. Damn those horse archers. I can move the grenadiers up to aid the fighting here. One thing that would be beneficial to getting the platoon firing is the grenadiers. They only fire first rank. And so it would be very advantageous to get them to be able to fire more than just first rank. I'm gonna have to send in some cavalry, I think, here to aid. Henrik's Royal Lions goes in. And then perhaps move more of the cavalry up here, as I might need them in the future. Oh, the horse archers, I guess, kind of tricked us. They wanted us to get in the fight here, just so they could charge my grenadiers, the bastards. Lindström's grenadiers, unfortunately, falling back. But in the process, so does the enemy. Right, are we able to bloody well get our troops to actually deal with these bastards, and at the same time start to advance on the main wall here? Ah, there we go. Let's see. Pikes. Nothing. That's what you should select. And I'm hoping these grenadiers come back any second now. Because I'm gonna need them to break through this part of the wall. Henrik's Lions is dealing with the horse archers here in the woods. Which is working just fine. Meanwhile, we broke down most of the enemy here. I'm gonna form all of these into line, and we're gonna deal with the guard unit that's come out. Russians haven't even got bayonets yet. We just broke part of this wall, and I'm gonna order now the guns to focus in on this unit right here. I'm gonna bring up the grenadiers to do some damage there as well. What's this coming out? Some other bloody soldier unit that's coming out through here. I'm gonna set Henrik's Lions up here in the woods, and then they will be able to charge these if they decide to come at us. Russians charging out of this area right here. They do have... these bastards already have the 12-pounder gun. They've put spikes here, but they've put them in the wrong direction. Oh, now I see all the dead that died from the stairs. Ooh! We missed that, but the Slav Freedom Regiment just absolutely annihilated that enemy unit. Holy crap. Okay, we're slowly gathering... the thing is, this one is in such a like thick square formation that a single charge is probably not going to be enough to break it. I'm thinking we're going to have to send something in through here. Oh, the guns are still firing on this. And then we're going to send troops in here, locking them in place, allowing more troops to slip through here. Are you guys even firing on... No, you weren't, for some reason. 4th Regiment. Not entirely sure why these guys were not focusing in and shooting to get down these bastards. We potentially have a regiment coming out of fort. Looked like there was a few Cossacks out here. Oh, now they're in perfect position. Right, we're gonna have all the regulars moving to this opening, while the guards gonna move to this one. Here comes the charge. It went better than I thought. But I'm gonna quickly fall back again, and then we're gonna strike them once more. Wonder why they're having trouble selecting targets here. Well, looks like I am winning there, though. We have an opportunity to throw grenades at this unit. Perhaps I should... I don't know. I don't want to send the... Let's see. Ah! Lindström and his troops are back. Alright, let's go ahead and add the charge there. And then these two will be ordered in to face the enemy Marines. And then I'm gonna order one to charge here to deal with this regiment. And then the third will be moved up through here. There comes the second charge. Hendrik's Lions killed 40 in the charge. They're wavering, they're sure to fall. And now the guards and the grenadiers will storm the fort. I knew that this is why I normally don't order them to attack anything. This unit was gonna follow after this one. Oh, did they just throw a bunch of grenades there? I believe they did. Well, the enemy there is defeated. We can now start climbing the wall. It looked like they threw a bunch of grenades or something in here. Like Henrik's Lions finished off that unit. You know, finished off completely. I'm gonna send in the third unit here. The cannon is not interested in doing it. Oh, I was about to say it's not interested in doing anything. And then it fires into the first foot guards. Let's see, the Freedom Regiment can hit that, the elected soldier unit. Meanwhile, the Iron Brigade will move to take this position, while McRob and Izzy will move on the flag. And the first foot guard take care of the flag. Grenade throw through this should work perfectly. I want to get them to throw before this unit engages them in melee. Good throw. Then attack, and then the Iron Brigade will start firing down through here, and that will aid in the destruction. Oh, they do have a bloody mortar battery out here, bastards. I have Forkum's Germans. We can move through here and deal with them. But right, we have won the battle. I'm gonna add. Izzy's gonna move in and charge these guys in the rear, and it's all gonna be over. Securing the flag is gonna hopefully save a few men's lives. But other than that, at this point, I will call victory. And here's the result of that battle. We have close to 7,000 men against 3,200. We ended up losing about 1,300 men, while the enemy lost their entire force. Highest killers goes to Närke Värmland, followed by Enlisted Regiment, followed by Grenadiers. I'm pretty sure we know which Grenadier Regiment this is. Killed 258. And we have a Life Regiment down there. This must be Henrik's Lions then, that end up there. It's a shame that that it wouldn't show up their custom name here. That would have worked perfectly. Right. Moscow is back in our hands, which is gonna be expensive as shit just like last time I took this place. Especially the palace. It's gonna cost me 10,000 to repair. However, there's a few others that are a lot cheaper, like this church. Wait, they must have built this. Converts to Orthodox? No, we'll tear that down. However, I can repair a few of the other buildings, and with that I have no money left. However, once this is built up again, I should be able to get the new guns going from here. The thing is, Charles should not stay here. Charles should move with all haste to try and relieve the fortress out here. So he will move as soon as possible. And then these forces will have to move up and aid. Now for the second fight, which is down here. Tolle will move across the river and then hit, who is this? Yuri Marov. Yuri Marov. The Russians, at this point, only hold these two territories. So they're on the brink of extinction. The bankruptcy isn't that bad, but war awareness is increasing, plus clamor of reform. Perhaps I should give the Russians technology just so that even worsen their situation by giving them technologies that will allow for their people to potentially rebel against them. Anything that reduces happiness. I mean, I can give them nothing military though, but if I have something that can reduce the amount of money, or any, seemingly that was the only thing I could give them. Did that make them any less unhappy? I'm thinking clamor for reform will increase, although that technology, that's the first one. Okay, it doesn't actually do that much. It's because they don't have a center of learning. That's why they only have that one. Should give them a center of learning. I wanted to inspire a revolt behind enemy lines. Perhaps another disaster here will get them to revolt. So we have Tolle with 6,000 men against Yuri Marov with 4,000 men. Most of this is kind of mixed, but there's a lot of irregular Cossack cavalry. Cannons, they actually do have a demi-battery compared to our 2. I do think I have a good chance of winning here since I outnumber them by 2,000 men. Let's go ahead then, again, to draw the sword and crack a few more Russian skulls. The deployment zones are rather close to each other, so I thought I'd go ahead and show you right from the start here. We've got heavy cavalry on the left. We've got Old Jönköping Regiment right at the front, backed up by 3 units of enlisted, 2 grenadiers, Västerbotten Regiment on the right, 4 of them, and then 4 dragoons further out there, 2 pieces of artillery, and the general all the way on the left. With that, let's go ahead and start, and we're gonna go ahead and select all of Jönköping Regiment, start moving them forward, and then Västerbotten, followed by the enlisted and the grenadiers. Then of course the heavy cavalry will advance. The enemy is leaving the hill, so I will speed up the advance of my dragoons to take the hill. And then perhaps we will fight the enemy down here right on the road down through this valley. currently my artillery is focusing in on the enemy artillery, which, as we've seen before, counter battery fire is rather useless. Have they dug in? They've dug in battery positions. They dug in the mortar. That actually makes sense that they dug in the mortars. Because it doesn't matter for the mortars where they are. I'm going to be focusing in my cannons on their Cossacks though, instead. Oh! Didn't realize one of the bloody Cossacks stayed on the hill. We have 2 units fighting, and then I'm gonna get a third to come around and see about shooting them in the back. Oh, it's impossible terrain. Well, then you can perhaps sit up here and shoot them down. I have them attacked from both sides, but since they got the charge in, they seem to be doing more damage on us than we are doing on them. In case more of them come this way, I'm gonna set up the 4th Dragoon up here to deal with them. Right, the heavy cavalry should organize here for an attack on the enemy's cavalry right there. But no attack will go in until we are... good that I noticed this. Then there won't be a cavalry charge here, because that is gonna run my guys right onto those spikes. Oh! They did fire... Where did the enemy Cossacks were quick, once defeated, to leave the field. Oh no, they're still there, the bastards, right. And they're coming right at this regiment, which will not have the time to form into line to face them, so it will form square instead. As the Lancer cavalry charges in. Right, the line is a little bit all over the place, so I will order them to hold their position right here. Right, the Cossacks were done for now. So I will order them to hold. And then proceed once we are more in line with each other. Oh, the enemy cavalry gets closer. Bloody horse archers. Given that I ordered so many units to fire, you would think we would do more damage. This one hasn't fired yet, so he should be able to fire. Sitting there oh no! Sitting there taking damage from those horse archers. I thought I would have learned that lesson from the last battle. The amount of troops, the amount of troopers lost there, not very good. Here though, they are gonna sit and take my shots. Right, the horse archers were defeated, right up. But that was a lot of dragoons lost. Given that 137 men fired and we only killed 7 of theirs, doesn't seem right, does it? Right, let's advance into range of the enemy. I'm gonna move the reserve though. I think the bigger fight is gonna be on this side. And then Vestia the Dahl can more rapidly move up onto the hill and take control of that and attack from there. They're extending the line to a point beyond what will protect them from the attack of my heavy cavalry. So I'm gonna attack right now. It looks like this marine will be able to fire upon us. And they did about damage to kill about 28 men in the process of that, but they allow one to go completely... Oh, and they retreat as well. I'm gonna turn this one though to attack this one right here, and as we attack, the entire line erupts in battle. They also erupt in battle up on the hill. Lots of cavalry charging in. I'm surprised to see one of the Jönköping regiments that barely was in the fight retreat. Not entirely sure what was up with that. And send the grenadiers forward to aid here. Oh, both the heavy cavalries were broken in that attack. They were relatively new in terms of their skill. We are winning on this side though, but all of that side is kind of out of line. I do think it was a right idea to move the reserve troops over to this side. I'm gonna order the grenadiers to open fire here. The enemy has come in between our lines. I don't know why this one broke so quickly. I think we're receiving... are we receiving... No, we're not receiving canister shots. Overwhelm them. We need to get this side of the line going. This side needs to get into the fight rather rapidly here. You're inside of each other, firing all over the place. One will head there, and then the other two will make sure that this one does not rally. Okay, the enemy is coming on pretty quickly. Move these guys back. Grenadiers back here. Heavy cavalry attack there. The 3 reserve units will be moved forward. Told to fire at will. You will drop your square and move on an angle, while these regiments will line up like that, with these ones coming up right behind. The dragoons are winning their fight over there. Good, the enlisted men are starting to fire. We are looking at a loss here of the heavy cavalry. The grenadiers ready themselves here to perhaps join in the fight. We have a large amount of pikes charging in. Oh, this is just bunch of horses. Why have you decided that you want to join in like that? I didn't realize such a large part of Tolle's army was fresh recruits. Oh, all 3 units in the front broke. Due to the enemy pikes. Let's have the dragoons sit further back. I'm sure these will rally. Okay, what's this? That's the Don Cossacks. move back, reform the line. Artillery, focusing on that. Grenadiers will move down to here, and then from here move up in the flank and shoot the enemy. None of these units have rallied as of yet. Heavy fighting on the front. Why aren't you firing? You can actually pull back slightly to fire. Same with you. As the bombardiers are closing in. Don't want to receive fire from them. Okay, the enemy is breaking forwards here. Do they think they have a chance of breaking these units? And I'd say they're about right, because that's a lot of heavy losses on that. These three have rallied. We'll bring them back into force. The bombardiers are going to do a lot of damage if we stand to face them. So pulling the troops back and ordering the dragoons to attack. The grenadiers are moving in, ready to throw on the advancing Russian forces. The bombardiers broken. Dragoons will retire. Try and avoid getting destroyed. Grenadiers throwing into the advancing Russian force. However, the Russian force is so split up that it barely does anything. I'm gonna charge in before it becomes too messy. And I think we need to help the grenadiers. I'm gonna overwhelm this unit so I can then pull those troops down on an aid. Okay, so the enemy general getting shot to pieces there. Right, the Russian army is now collapsing. The grenadiers actually handle themselves. They should move to aid this then. And my dragoons should make way to their the enemy's artillery. And let's overwhelm the enemy over here. We're gonna see very high losses in this battle. On our side, that is. Well, the entire enemy army is gonna be broken by the end of it. And I'm hoping that I can pursue them to destruction. But there's going to be high losses all around. Right, the dragoon is struck. And it's best, I think, just to keep them in the fight here. As more and more infantry comes to join the fight, is going to go in my favor. And the Marines gonna break. Perhaps I will withdraw the dragoons actually. That's all that I have left of... No, there is more cavalry units that have rallied. They need to be moved here so I can run down as many of the Russian forces as possible. So it's down to 2 melee fights, one over here. And then one down here. And then I don't think I'll count this one. Oh, looks like the Dragoon Regiment's gonna be destroyed. It retreated onto loads of spikes. If I could get one unit to come around and attack the enemy, this enemy from the back, that would be... the center fight won. We have a unit that is rallying. I'm gonna order the guns to fire on that. And then the entire army continue forward towards the enemy. The 2 dragoons gonna come in and cut off any Russians that want to leave. So we can see about destroying them. Right, this one broke. We probably can shoot this one down rather than charging it. And I'll tell the guns to hold fire. And with that, we are victorious. And I will try and take the time necessary to destroy the enemy army. Oh, I thought they broke. They decided to just pull off right before they went into the fight. Crazy. But there we have it. Victory. Here's the result of the battle. 6,000 men deployed on our side, 4,000 on the enemy. We ended up losing 1/3 of our army, 2,000 men, leaving us with 4,000. While more or less the entire enemy force was killed, 3,300 men dead, leaving them with about 700 men after the battle compared to our 4,000. Highest kills goes to the Dragoons. No surprise, it must be those two Dragoon units that survived to the end that killed so many. And then we have enlisted regiment and Jönköping regiments. I think the battle probably would have worked better if I'd put the entire of the Västerbotten as reserve as well. I didn't think the enemy would be able to break through the army so well, but that's the thing when you have a lot of different armies that is built differently. At least what we can see after the battle though is that a lot of chevrons are gained, and hopefully this one will be on par with what I expect from, say, the King's army. The enemy is forced away, and I will pursue them to destruction right at the border here to the French. So they had about 700 men surviving the battle, but what we can see here is only 453 are actually left in his army against our 4,000. It's an easy outer assault where I lose 311 and they lose more or less everything. But the unit apparently survives. Because they've got a cannon, I cannot pursue them. I do note here that I only have 2 Dragoons left after that. It means we lost 2 Dragoons. in the battle. I could detach the general and all the cavalry to go ahead and smite these guys, but I would have to play the battle myself, which I'm not that interested in doing. Perhaps I will do that off camera. Now I don't actually reach. I thought, oh, because the general could reach, the cavalry could not. The dragoons can. So I could bring the general and the dragoons. But I'll have to detach some other force to deal with them. It's a little bit sad then that I can't recruit foreign troops into my army, because then I would have a army just by Cossack units that would be specifically riding around to deal with stuff like this. I think because we've done 2 battles here, and I'm quite certain that these guys will move forward. And oh, there's Tsar Peter. We have a chance to face him again in battle. The king and the Tsar will meet again. Well, I'm pretty sure these will try and attack the fort, and we've seen this battle so many times before. So what we'll do is I think we'll end it right here. And so for the next one, I will have played through, and hopefully we will see the end of the Russians. Perhaps that will be cut short by hostilities starting somewhere else. And I will also put some money into the colonies, so perhaps we might even fight the pirates in the next episode. But I'm hoping for the complete destruction of Russia by next time. And with that said, I'm gonna say, like I always say, hopefully you guys enjoy this, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye.